Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Fox.
The Minnesota Twins are red hot, winning 6 straight and moving into a tie with the Texas Rangers for the second AL wildcard spot. Tonight, Tampa Bay sends lefty Drew Smyly to the hill, looking to get the Rays back in the thick of the postseason chase. We welcome you to Tropicana Field tonight. The 6-game homestand continues. This will be game 3 of the series between the Rays and the Minnesota Twins, with the Twins taking the first 2 games of this series 11-7 and 5-3. As a result, Minnesota, as you see, moving up in that wild card race. They have an identical record now with the Texas Rangers. The Angels a half back. Baltimore lost today, 2.5 back, and that leaves the Rays 3 out. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you looking in. Well, the Rays home off that 4-6 road trip. They've dropped the first 2 games on this homestand, and BA, if they're looking for a spark, they really need to look no further than Kevin KIERMAIER.
Well, Kevin KIERMAIER, a complete player, and he's one of those guys, we know what he can do defensively, but right now, in his last 10 games, he's getting it done offensively, and what I like more than anything is he's cut down on the strikeouts. Just 4 strikeouts in his last 10 games. That gives him a chance for plays like this. Put the ball in play, beat out an infield hit. We know that if he gets the ball in the outfield, there's always that opportunity to take an extra base. You think about the double, you think about the triple, a stolen base perhaps out there, and then every once in a while, turn it loose and go for the long ball, and that's what we've seen Kevin KIERMAIER do. There's so many different ways that he can impact the game positively for the Tampa Bay Rays, and right now, all facets of his game are clicking.
And you saw what he's done in his last 10 games, leading the major leagues this year with 12 triples, and he has had a very consistent month of August. On the mound tonight for the Rays, Drew Smyly. He gave the Rays a lift in his last outing on that road trip, opening the series against the Oakland A's. He was very good last Friday night. Todd Callis has more on the return of Drew Smyly when we return.
heading into the Rays dugout after his bullpen session, getting ready for his start tonight at Tropicana Field. His first home start since coming off the DL. Remember back to last year after the trade deadline, Smiley was lights out in 7 starts with Tampa Bay, a sub-2 ERA, 3-1 with a 1.70 earned run average. Now making his 6th start of the year, last year making those 7 starts for the Rays. And when we see what Smiley did in Texas, struggled a little bit. Said he really only felt like he had command of a couple of pitches that night. Didn't have really good grasp of his breaking pitches. But that changed in Oakland when he went 5 2/3 shutout innings in a game where he left with the Rays leading 1-0. Tampa Bay would win that game 2-1. His pitching coach, Jim Hickey, talks about Smiley compared to where he was at the end of last year. He
was really, really good when the season finished.
Hickey said he was really good at the end of last year, and he was encouraged by what he saw in his last start against the Oakland A's. First pitch in 3.5 minutes.
Rays and the Twins square off in Game 3 of this series with a couple of left-handers on the hill. Drew Smiley goes to the mound for the Rays tonight against the Minnesota lineup. We'll take a look at the lineup put together by Paul Molitor, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Myron Buxton's going to lead off again tonight, followed by Brian Dozier, the second baseman. And Joe Mauer will hit third and be the designated hitter. At third base, Miguel Sano. Trevor Plouffe is at first. Torrey Hunter hits sixth and plays right field. Eduardo Escobar at short. The number 8 hitter is the catcher, Kurt Suzuki. Shane Robinson in the lineup tonight in left, hitting ninth.
Well, and for Drew Smiley, it's what will be the next step? You know, since coming back from the labrum issue where he missed more than 3 months of the season, he gave up 5 earned in 4 innings against the Texas Rangers. His very next start against the Oakland A's, 5 2/3 of no-run baseball. So a pretty big leap there by Drew Smiley, and looking to build off that here in a game that the Rays need.
The rookie center fielder, Buxton, on a couple of times last night, 2 hits, including a bunt single. And he takes the first pitch, presented by Pinch-A-Penny And that's a fastball in there for a strike. So we are underway tonight. Smiley misses on pitch number 2, and the count is 1-1. Ball, 2 strikes. And with that one, he had Buxton out in front.
Well, Drew Smiley coming from right about over the top. Couple of fastballs there, a very good changeup.
And a cut and a miss. Back with the fastball up, and he strikes out Buxton.
Well, that's one of his favorite pitches. Let's take a look at the Rays defense. Brought to you by BMW. It's going to line up in the outfield left to right. We've got Joey Butler, Kevin Kiermaier, and Brandon Guyer. And across that infield, third to first, Longoria, Cabrera, Forsythe, and Nava, with JP Arancibia getting his first start behind the plate.
And Dozier looks at a strike. Down to third base, a ground ball, and Longoria handles that. Throw across to Daniel Nava at first, 2 up and 2 down. So a couple of quick outs on the strikeout and the ground out. Smiley not exactly known for throwing ground balls, but he has one early here in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's a borderline extreme fly ball pitcher. You take those balls on the ground with this infield, though.
There's a strike to Mauer. Joe Mauer hitting .269. Drove in a run in the 7th inning last night with a broken bat single. And it's 0-2, and boy, has he had great success here at the Trop through the years. Our Toyota trend, a .404 average at Tropicana Field. Hard to keep him off the bases.
Every other time, every other one he's on for his career. That's absurd.
Foul back. Count still, 0-2. Well, they win the last time out for Smiley. 5 2/3 against Oakland. His first win in the big leagues in 358 days. Pitch covered up by Arancibia.
You know, it's really remarkable that he has not had more wins. I don't want to say more success, but more wins in his short time with the Rays. It's been 12 starts now, and the ERA is 2.31 and a batting average against of 183, and yet just 4 wins to show for that good work.
Pitch in is pop foul by Mauer.
That just goes to show you that really, you know, measuring a pitcher by the win-loss record, you just can't do it. There are a lot of other numbers that come into play.
Well, the wins and losses, those are 2 numbers that largely are out of his control if he pitches well, in terms of trying to evaluate how good a pitcher is. They used to say you have to be a really good pitcher to lose 20. You know, there have been a few very good pitchers lose 20 games. Well, you're in there. You're in every game. You rack up a lot of innings. But if you don't have the support either behind you or an offense to help you, you could find yourself a tough luck loser a lot of the time.
Well, we just saw one right there. How about Jake Odorizzi? You know, his overall winning percentage here the last couple of seasons, not nearly what you would think based on the way that he's pitched, but worst run support in the league.
Yeah. And how about Chris Archer right next to him? He's 11-10 this year. There's a shot into right field. Guyer is going to go back, and it's off the top of the wall. Bounds away from Guyer. Kiermaier is going to pick it up, and it's a double for Joe Mauer. Well, he got down 0-2. Just kept fouling pitches away, and finally on a 3-2 pitch, he doubles off the top of the wall.
And very fortunate, because this ball very easily, that's a cutter that does not cut. It just kind of spins, stays flat out over the middle of the plate, and he's about a foot and a half from this being a 1-0 Twins ball game already. So fortunate that ball stays in the yard, retire the next hitter, and no harm, no foul.
Well, a 9-pitch at bat, and Mauer is at second base for McGill Sano. The Rays put the shift on for him. There's a strike. We saw the power from Sano, his first time up in this series on Tuesday. Pitch is up, 1-1. See, this was a towering home run. A big cut and a foul ball back. We did not personally see this, but the Twins during batting practice yesterday, and a couple of our crew members said that Sano hit a ball in batting practice that hit the 2008 American League champion banner in left center field.
Oh, come on.
2-2. They swear that's true. I didn't see it. But think about that. Look where that is. It seems impossible.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for a BP home run that I saw Mark McGwire hit, I wouldn't believe it. But having seen that, that can be done as ridiculous as it may look. Although, I wish I would have seen it.
Really?
That is a bomb.
A high pop foul. Nava's chasing it, but it's going to be out of play.
I mean, you think about that. That is ABC. That is above the D catwalk in left center field, well beyond it.
Yeah.
So you got a clear D catwalk with something on it to get up to that banner right there. Give me a break.
Incredible.
Yeah, it is. It is.
They told me that. I said, we saw the home run he hit. We know how strong he is. Really?
Yeah.
Yes. With foul ball back. So we're just hoping that he doesn't duplicate that until maybe next year during BP when he comes in here.
Yeah, fine. I mean, you want to knock that around there at 4:45, 5 o'clock? Go right ahead.
And a big cut to miss. He strikes him out on the fastball up. Bottom of the first coming up. No score. A couple of strikeouts. Go to the Rays half of the inning. The lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Brandon Guyer leads off, followed by Daniel Nava and Evan Longoria. Logan Forsythe, Asdrubal Cabrera, and then Joey Butler back in a Rays uniform, hitting 6th. Jim Beckham is the DH, followed by Kevin KIERMAIER, and then J.P. Arancibia.
Well, Tommy Milone's going to make the start tonight. His last appearance actually picked up a save on Sunday against the Orioles in Baltimore, but as a starter, his last 5 have not gone that well. Just a 1-2 record, ERA of 6.12, and we all know about the Rays' success against lefty starters the last few months.
So Brandon Guyer leads it off here, hitting .268. He takes the pitch for a ball. And the last win for Malone was in an extra inning game when he came on last outing and picked up the save. It's 1-1. Two balls and a strike.
For Tommy Milone, I mean, he's a true finesse lefty. He works from the far first base side of the rubber, trying to create angles in on right-handed hitters.
The count goes to 2-2.
That helps him with, he'll bury the fastball in there, the cutter, curveball, occasional changeup.
Guyer takes it close for ball 3. Daniel Nava will be next. Two is popped foul, and that will carry out a play. Malone spent most of last year with Oakland. Did have one decision with the Twins, and combined was 6-4 a year ago in 21 starts and 1 bullpen appearance. There's ball 4, and the Rays put the leadoff man aboard.
Let's take a look at the Minnesota Twin defense and see how they're going to line up tonight. It's all brought to you by BMW. In the outfield left and right, we have Shane Robinson, Byron Buxton, and Torrey Hunter. And across that infield, third to first, Miguel Sano heads out of the dugout. Third, Eduardo Escobar, Brian Dozier, and Trevor Plouffe with Kurt Suzuki behind the plate.
Well, Daniel Nava, who homered from the left side of the plate last night, back in the lineup, hitting right-handed against Malone. First pitch is a strike. Malone has allowed 15 home runs, 12 of those to right-handed hitters. 283 for righties against him, and he's held lefties to a 168 average. Ground ball sharply hit through the middle. Guyer's going to go to third. Throws headed in that direction, not in time. And it will be first and third with nobody out.
Now that didn't take long.
Walk and a single, and the Rays have something cooking.
Yeah, leadoff walk always seems to come back to haunt you. Nava uses the middle of the field, and fortunately, he hit that ball hard enough because it looked like Escobar maybe he's going to have a shot, but just too much steam, and Brandon Guyer hustles all the way to third.
It's Evan Longoria. Evan at 270 hit his 14th home run last night. Hit a couple of shots, a double off the center field wall. Followed that up 2 at bats later with a home run. Fly ball into right. Torrey Hunter lining up to make the catch. Tag at third. Geyer's headed to the plate. Throw cut off down to second. Nava is out there. The Rays get the run. So they break out in front 1-0 on a fly ball off the bat of Longoria.
Well, and the decision made there, instead of a bang-bang play at the plate, take that second out. As they were conceding the traditional double play, the Twins had getting this version out number one. Strong throw, but cut there by Plouffe. And right out to Escobar for the easy second out. As you see Geyer tag up.
So the Rays have a run home and the early lead. Forsythe takes a pitch down. Logan in the cleanup spot for the Rays tonight. It's now 2-0. Two balls and a strike. There's a shot, well tagged, deep to the deepest part of the park, and gone! Home run for Logan Forsythe. Forsythe really got into that one, hitting his 15th home run of the year.
I'll tell you what, that ball came off the bat of Logan Forsythe hot. I mean, this contact was as solid as you can get. A ball that leaks back middle. Boy, isn't it funny when you see the Rays now going up against a left-handed starter? Power guy, finesse guy, it doesn't matter. You think they don't have a shot. This Rays right-handed lineup gives lefties fits, and already out of the gate, two of the first four that come to the plate have scored.
Now Cabrera fouls it the other way. Take a look at the home run swing, and we slow it down on the Phantom cam.
You see no reverb on that bat. No wiggle, or the less wiggle, the more solid the contact.
So a run home on the Longoria fly ball. Another one on the home run by Forsythe. So Logan Forsythe tied with Steven Souza for the team lead in home runs. Each with 15. How about that in the spring? If you'd said that at the end of August, it would be Logan Forsythe and Steven Souza tied for the team lead in home runs. How many takers would you have had?
Well, first of all, you would have thought, well, Souza Jr. only 15. Well, all the time on the disabled list has hurt him. And Logan Forsythe, you probably would have been really happy because he was going to be a part-time guy. Ends up becoming the full-time guy. And, boy, he has been so productive. Good on base percentage. Obviously, team lead and tied for team lead in power.
High fly ball into left. Robinson waiting for this one. Cabrera's the last out here in the first. But the Rays get 2 runs. One coming on this long home run by Logan Forsythe, and the Rays take an early lead tonight, 2-0. Logan Forsythe with the home run in the first. Here's Trevor Plouffe taking a strike. Plouffe playing first base tonight for Minnesota. He has 18 home runs, 70 runs batted in. 1-1. Smiley threw the first inning, gave up a 2-out double to Mauer. Left him on second, picking up 2 strikeouts, including Sano to end the inning. Takes the count to 1-2. Upstairs, 2-2. In on him, and he fouls it away. Chopper down to Longoria, and Evans' throw is there. Plouffe is out number 1. Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag SSDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Torrey Hunter taking a breaking ball for ball 1. Two and 0. Takes the count to 3-0. Hunter this year with 18 home runs. Takes a strike. 3-1. 40-year-old outfielder.
Given the night off last night, things have slowed down a little bit for Torrey Hunter here in the second half of the season.
Lifts it toward left center field. That's got some hang time. And over there's KIERMAIER, put a little hang time on it himself to make the catch.
The floating catch. The ball floats into left center, and KIERMAIER floats in to snag it. Here it goes. Enjoy.
He just couldn't wait. He went up there to meet it.
It's been a few games. It's been a few games. He said, let's just get it out of the way early.
Here's Eduardo Escobar. Pitch is upstairs. Here it is again. Lift off. Off speed. 2 balls, no strikes. The count to Escobar. 2-1. He did not go, and we're going to have a full count. Hot shot liner into left. One hop to Butler. And Escobar singles off the fastball. Escobar has had a good series here. Had 2 home runs last night. A single his first time up tonight. That's 5 hits so far in the series.
Well, nice swing there. I mean, just short and to the baseball. That ball up in the zone. And you know, the thing is 2 outs, nobody out. Drew Smiley's going to throw a strike there. And Escobar was all over it.
There's a strike to Kurt Suzuki.
I like early in the game here now, Drew Smyly, mixing in that breaking ball every now and then for a first pitch strike, just putting it in the back of these hitters' minds that he will do that. That'll make that fastball even better.
High fly ball back to left. Butler will go to the track. He's up against the wall, and it's off the top of the wall. KIERMAIER over to make the pickup. Heading to the plate is Escobar on a double by Suzuki. And now it's 2-1.
Well, the Rays have been fortunate. You've had two doubles, one by Mauer, one by Suzuki, that were, a combined maybe 1.5 feet from being home runs. Another breaking ball, but Suzuki, after having seen one previously, all over this. And boy, oh boy, right at the top of the wall. Did it get the yellow striping? Yeah, and then straight down off the padding. That was an inch or two away.
So with 2 outs, the single and the double, putting the Twins on the board. For Kurt Suzuki, career number 200 in the 2-base hit department. Shane Robinson takes the pitch down. Suzuki's had a bit of a renewal since coming to Minnesota. He's been a valuable part of their team behind the plate and getting his share of hits. So cut and a miss. Pitch coming in on him.
That looked like a slider. I think that may have been a cutter that Drew Smyly got around a little bit, but regardless, it was effective and it was late.
Foul the other way. Robinson started last night in left field, was on base 3 times. Doubled, reached on a fielder's choice and walked. Had a stolen base and scored a couple runs. Upstairs, 2-2. It's the top of the order. Buxton on deck. Foul ball. So it's still a 2-2 count. We've seen the breaking ball. We've seen the changeup a little bit more here in the first couple innings from Smyly.
Yeah, you couldn't really remember one off the top of your head against Oakland or the Rangers for that matter. But that will be a good pitch for Smyly, especially with a fastball up and down in the zone.
And a cut and a miss. Robinson out on strikes. They leave Suzuki at second. Rays lead 2-1.
Second inning, manager Kevin Cash welcomes back his minor league teammate Joey Butler today. In a roster move prior to the game, the Rays put Desmond Jennings on the disabled list again. Jennings has not been able to stay healthy this year. Joey Butler had been gone for just over 2 weeks at AAA Durham. Hit over .350 with 4 home runs in 9 games, including 3 in his last 2 nights. Butler felt like at the end of his time at the big league level, guys, he was chasing a few too many pitchers' pitches. And he hopes to keep that aggressiveness, but not leave the zone. Back to you.
Well, let's see how he does here as he leads off the bottom of the second inning, Joey Butler. He takes that first pitch for a ball. When he left, he was hitting .278. Down to AAA and collected a bunch of hits. And since this one into center field, an off-speed pitch. And the fly ball caught by Buxton.
You know, he really served notice. He got off to a great start for the Rays, and you get the attention of opposing pitching coaches and opposing pitching staffs. They're then going to make adjustments, and at the end, you're right. Todd was right. Joey was right. The zone expanded a little bit, so sometimes you need to take that step back and kind of recalibrate and come back and get him.
Well, the one thing he really liked about Butler, you got great effort from him.
Yes.
And he was hard not to root for.
Yep. Wanted to be out there every day, would give you everything that he had, no matter what role you put him in. I mean, a pinch hit, a start, a DH, anything. Just really cherished being in the lineup and play all out.
Want to know the count to Beckham. He's the DH tonight. He goes after that off-speed pitch. Misses 1-1.
And I think that comes with maturity. You know, Joey Butler, 29 years old, appreciating this game, realizing that, you know, that it's not forever, and holds himself accountable.
Ground ball headed to short, gloved by Escobar, and he gets the throw away and retires Beckham.
That was stupid. Stupid good. I'll tell you what, you watch some of these guys do their thing. You know, you get to the ball is one thing, but it's the spin and the throw, and Beckham can get up the line. So you do a nice job of getting it, but now look at, you're off balance and spinning. And as he goes down, the ball's right on the money.
Yeah, and Andy Fletcher better look out. The second base umpire.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to start peeling out of there.
There's a strike to KIERMAIER. Play appreciated by the left-hander Malone. Foul the other way. Well, we have been impressed with some of these young players. Escobar is one of them. Rosario another one. And Buxton trying to get his feet under him here in the handful of games in center field. Beat out the bunt last night. It's a chopper foul. And then Sano. So that's a pretty good gathering of young talent right there on this Minnesota roster.
No question. And you know, you even think Brian Dozier became a full-time player in 2013, so it's not like he's long in the tooth. They've got a nice core of position players to build around, no doubt. It'll be all about the pitching staff. How far can they take the Twins this year, and what will they do to that staff going forward into next year?
Yeah, and the one thing they are concerned about, I think, going forward is their starting rotation.
Yep. You don't have those power arms. You don't have those missed bat guys. And you see Tommy Malone, a nice left-handed pitcher, but he's a finesse guy. Has to be sharp each and every outing, or you know, things can get a little haywire.
Two here to KIERMAIER. Who dropped that one out of play? Foul down the left side. Oh, well, it was fun while it lasted. And there's a good-hearted fan returning that souvenir. Liner into center field. There's a base hit for KIERMAIER, and he's aboard. So KIERMAIER continues his hot hitting, and the more I think about it, VA, you hit on a very good point last night about KIERMAIER and that injured thumb, because What he's done is cut down that swing.
Yeah, look right there. You know, and obviously that's with 2 strikes, so he may cut down anyway. But I think that's just something that popped out on a couple of swings 2 nights ago. Actually, it was on a ball that he hit right back up the middle. It looked like just a smooth, easy swing. He wasn't overly aggressive, and I think he's cutting down, realizing put the ball in play, and I give myself a chance.
Well, he's hit over 320 for the month of August now. And we highlighted in the Open what he's done the last 10. And boy, that could be a big changer for him. Big step.
Well, those last 10 games, only 4 strikeouts. So, again, you think about him just putting the ball in play, giving yourself a chance with his speed. And then if it is a clean base hit, then you start to look for him to go, maybe try to take second. If not, you've got the stolen base threat. Just a lot of ways that he can change a game.
Inside to Aaron Sebia. It's 1-1. JP Aaron Sebia hit 22 home runs at Durham. See his numbers 227 with 65 runs batted in down there. A big cut there. And it's 1-2. That fastball upper 80s, 87, 88.
And that's why for Tommy Milone, with not a lot of sink and run on that pitch, that's why he's on the first base side. If you're not going to get the arm side run, then you've got to create an angle by being over that way and try to bore it in on the righties and be true down the outside corner. And then conversely, when you're going to face a left-hander, you've got that fastball that's burrowing itself away from the lefty. And that's the way that Tommy Milone tries to create deception.
Aaron Sebia behind in the count. Pitch is away. It's 2-2.
If you're a left-hander with a good sinker and you're on the far first base side, how do you keep that pitch on the plate? You're releasing it off the plate, and now you're going to sink it to the outside corner. That's why you see a lot of those guys on the third base side. The guys with the straight fastballs move over on this side. They can keep it true.
And a cut and a miss. Strikeout of Aaron Sebia out in front of the off speed. Rays leave 1, and they lead by 1. Against Minnesota. Kansas City will be coming in next. On to the third. Drew Smyly will be facing the top of the Twins lineup. Byron Buxton about to step in. Then Dozier and Maurer. It's a first pitch strike taken by Buxton. Buxton out on strikes his first time. Went after a pitch up, and now he's down 0-2. He struck out now 24 times in 68 at bats and has 3 walks. Lays off that high fastball. That's what he chased in the first inning.
Well, the pitch never comes down. With Drew Smyly's arm angle, the pitch up stays up.
And a cut and a miss. He gets him on the fastball.
And that wasn't even up. I mean, that wasn't the elevated Drew Smyly fastball. And in fact, the last 2 pitches that were swung through by Buxton in this at bat were really just fastballs right down the middle. I mean, there's nothing fancy about that. That's between the thigh and the belt with not a lot of sink or movement right down the middle. And these guys just coming up empty. Shane Robinson ended the last inning swinging at a very similar pitch.
Brian Dozier. Pitch is a strike. It was interesting to watch Robinson. We talked about it at the time. He sort of pulled off a ball. He's hitting 9th. He's got speed. It's a foul ball out of play, 0-2. And you'd like those guys probably to stay on a pitch a little more than trying to hit it a long way.
Yeah, and not exactly the biggest guy on the team. But guess what? He hit a ball in the gap yesterday that got deep. So all of a sudden now you become a power hitter. Now I'm going to fly open, do some damage. Just stay up the middle, use the legs.
Well, those are the little nuances that make a big difference in a hitter, and nuances that pitchers pay attention to. Good catchers and pitchers to see how hitters react while they're in the batter's box.
And the one of the biggest tells for a hitter is when that front hit leaks down the third base line. You'll pick that up faster than probably anything else. All of a sudden you see that front hip go, you know he's given away the outer half and he's got one thing on his mind.
Full count now on Dozier. Smyly in the early going has 4 strikeouts. There's Joe Mauer on deck. Pitch misses, a fastball wide. So Dozier heads to first. The initial walk of the night by Smyly. Come to the Trop Sunday, August 20th. The Rays play the Royals, and kids 14 and under receive a DJ Kitty drawstring bag presented by All Children's Hospital Johns Hopkins Medicine while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Well, here's Joe Mauer, who doubled in the first. The first pitch to him is a strike. Mauer increasing his all-time on-base percentage here coming into the game. It was .507 at the Trop for his career. He's now 3 for 14 in his career against Smyly. Takes it outside 1-1. Talking about that when he came up, Ted Williams more than once had an on-base percentage of over 500 for the entire season. How about that?
How about that?
And he didn't do it just once. That was a repeat performance throughout his career. 1 and 2, and we mentioned in 1941 he was 22 years old, had a .553 on-base percentage, and just to show that he could do it at the near the end of his career, when he was 38 in 1957, his on-base percentage was .526 the entire year. All 2 and 2. Rays got a couple runs in the first, run in the second for Minnesota. 1 on 1 out in the third. Mauer fouls it out of play. Sano waiting to hit next. Smiley to the plate. Fly ball center field. KIERMAIER right there for it. 2 gone. Smiley, who pitched 5 2/3 his last time out, made 91 pitches in that one against Oakland. He had 22 pitches in the first tonight and 25 in the second. He's up to 63 right now. 2 outs and a base runner into the third. And here's Sano. He struck him out in the first inning. That's a strike to Sano. High shot way back into left center field. That hits the B ring. That's in play. Dozier will score. Sano round second and stops there. A towering shot off the B ring for a double. And the game is tied 2-2.
Now here's the question. Would that have gotten out of here? I mean, that ball was on its way up when it hit that B ring. That ball was blitzed. I mean, that was headed for that LCS banner.
We talked about hitting that banner in batting practice. That was headed in that direction.
Yes, it was. But boy, it hit that. You could follow that right up. We had a great shot of it, Dwayne, where we're sitting from. That ball right up there, and solid contact with that B ring.
And there you go.
Oh, there you get a great shot of it. Bam. There it was.
First pitch to Plouffe is a strike. Well, off the B ring, a double and a run batted in. Sano's 13th double. He has 38 runs batted in. It's 1-1. Yeah, it's hard to tell where that ball would have landed unobstructed. Shot to center field. KIERMAIER is there to make the catch. So a walk, a double, and a run. 1 left, and we're tied 2-2. with his strength. Here's that double off the B ring, and you only wonder if you could somehow open this roof and that wasn't up there, how far that would have gone. I mean, would it have hit the flag out there in left center field or not?
Which one? I've had a shot at all of them.
Well, there's the ground rule that covers that. Brandon Geyer swings and misses.
They could put in the Sano rule and say if it hits that second one at more than 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. 1-1. You know, the second ring out from the middle of the B ring and where that made contact. I mean, he's hit some towering fly balls, and we talked about his shot and batting practice at the outset of this game. Boy, that one would have traveled a long way. Into center field. It'll hang up for Buxton. And that's out number 1. Look at Daniel Nava up there. Ball game here. Tied now 2-2 in the bottom of the 3rd. Nava singled his first time up. It's a ball and no strikes. One and one. Twins got Malone from the Oakland ball club in the deal for the former Rays outfielder Sam Fole. He throws a strike and Nava's behind 1-2.
That was a great example of the angle that Malone tries to get against these right-handed hitters. And right now he's trying to make a cognizant effort to mix everything in. Fastballs both sides, the changeup, now the breaking ball. Trying to keep this lineup off balance second time through.
Now 2-2. So Longoria on deck. And a take on a pitch away. That runs the count all the way out to Daniel Nava. Rays got 2 in the first inning. A sacrifice fly by Longoria and a Forsythe home run. Nava is out on strikes. Was out in front. The changeup got him. Second strikeout for Malone, and both have been on the changeup.
Visibly agitated, Tommy Malone, the previous pitch. It was a changeup he left off the place. He regrouped and said, I'm coming right back with it. I know it's the right pitch. That one he executes, and he gets the desired result.
He picks up a first pitch strike to Longoria. So he's staying with that pitch. Evan taps it. Shortstop Escobar charging, and the throw is there in time. And Longoria is out number 3. 3 up, 3 down for the Rays. And we're headed into the 4th inning at the Trop. Tied 2-2. Playing fantasy, MLB.TV serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. Get MLB.TV today. Torrey Hunter looks at a strike. Popped up, out of play. Hunter to be followed by Eduardo Escobar and then Kurt Suzuki. Ground ball shortstop. Cabrera handles that. So one away in the fourth.
Well, how automatic has Cabrera been? I mean, you watch that ground ball, and it's like the other 250 you've seen that are similar. I mean, just a ground ball. He fields it clean. He has that kind of that sidearm throwing motion, a little hump in the throw, and it's right on the money every single time.
Well, he makes the routine play, and he will make plays that are more than routine seem as if they're routine. He's been very steady and very smooth out there. He's been everything the Rays could have hoped for at shortstop. 1-1 now, the count to the Minnesota shortstop, a young one, Eduardo Escobar. Lifts it back into deep center. KIERMAIER going to go to the wall, and that ball is out of here. KIERMAIER did everything he could except climb over the wall. And Escobar hits this one out to straightaway center. His 8th home run of the year and his 3rd home run in the last 4 at-bats we've seen him here.
Well, like a snake, he's just coiled up right there, and boy, does he explode through that baseball. I mean, he's just a hair out in front, but slows his body down, hands stay back, and ball gets juiced. And KIERMAIER, everything he could, but it's off that back wall, off the concrete in dead center.
Now a strike to Kurt Suzuki. So Minnesota takes a 3-2 lead. Oh, 2. It's a line shot fair up the left field line, bounding off the sidewall. Suzuki's on his way to second with a double.
And guess what? The Minnesota Twins getting wise, at least the veteran Suzuki getting wise to the elevated fastball. Wait till you see where this pitch is, and wait till you see the swing by Suzuki. He's expecting it. They're going to elevate, and he's right on it. I mean, that ball's letter high, and he stays right on top of it and is able to line that ball fair up the third base line, just out of the reach of Evan.
Well, a home run and a double. Suzuki's 2nd double of the night. 6 hits total for the Twins, and here is Shane Robinson. Check swing and a little bounder shortstop. Quick pickup, and the throw stays down and gets by Nava. Suzuki will score. Well, that was a tough play as Cabrera had to come in and had trouble getting anything on the throw, and it stayed down. Nava couldn't block it.
Well, once Cabrera decided to go with the glove, it was going to be tough to get Robinson. He runs well. It was a check swing, slow roller. And then by going with the glove, now he's got to go down, find it. You see, he never had a grip on that baseball. That ball was just kind of laying between the fingertips and the palm of the hand. And that's why there was nothing on that throw. Of course, then Robinson beats it, and the double negative, it gets by Nava.
Yeah, base hit and an error. Robinson reaches, and on that throw, as it stayed down, Suzuki scores. Buxton takes a pitch down. It's 1-1. Smiley over 80 pitches here with a couple runs home in the fourth. 3 hits, an error in the inning, and a ground ball out. Two and one. He 81 pitches his last time out. He made 95 against Texas and is up for ball 3 with this one.
It's been a heavy workload each inning, and this one building the same way.
22 in the first, 25 in the second, 21 in the third, and now 82 for the game. And a full count on Buxton as he swings through the fastball.
He still has a blind spot on that pitch right there. I would do it again. He swung that through that pitch 3 or 4 times in a row now. Same spot, same velocity.
And a foul tip strike right back into the mitt of Aaron Sebia. Buxton out on strikes for the 3rd time. 2 gone. Here it is.
Well, yeah, stay right with it. I mean, this is just, here it is. Thigh high fastball, middle. He swung through. I mean, do you credit him for getting a piece of that? But he has swung through the last 4 or 5 of those in the same spot.
That's 26 strikeouts and 70 at bats for him. And Dozier takes a pitch down. Breaking ball, 1 ball, no strikes. Two and 0 to Dozier. 2 curveballs missing. Comes in, strike 2 and 1. The Twins with a run in the second, a run in the third, and now 2 runs here in the 4th inning. Runner goes, and the pitch is lined into left, caught by Butler. So the damage limited to 2 with 3 hits and a man left. The game heads into the bottom of the 4th, and it's 4-2 Minnesota. Thursday, September 3rd, when former Michigan quarterback Jim Harbaugh makes his debut as head coach of his alma mater and leads the Wolverines against the Utes of Utah. And the only place you can see it is on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Rays down by a couple. Moving into the bottom of the fourth, Logan Forsythe, who homered his first time, takes a strike from Tommy Malone. A 28-year-old lefty. And a pop-up off the right side. Dozier, shallow right out from second. And that's the first out. Malone out of USC. In fact, in his career, in 3 years at the University of Southern California, he was 16 and 17 with a 4.78 earned run average. How about that? Under 500 to 4.78 ERA for his collegiate career.
You know what that tells me? He tore it up in summer ball.
Well,
you would think.
Yeah, and the rest of the story is exactly that. He went to the Cape Cod League and became the league's top pitcher. Went 6-1 with a 2.92 ERA and was picked in the 10th round of the draft by Washington.
He got an opportunity to play in that league a couple of different years, and it's wasted on the youth. You're playing baseball in the Cape Cod with a summer job that, you know, you work 4 hours in the morning, you play baseball every night on the Cape, and when you're 18, 19 years old, you just don't appreciate it like you should. And that's, but that's one of those wood bat leagues.
Yep.
And that's where all the scouts, a lot of the better talent in college goes there. And so the scouts really congregate there because they get a chance to see these guys pitch against wood and hitters hit with wood.
Yep.
Gives them their first glimpse of professional baseball.
Well, it was more than special for Malone because it probably made his professional career possible.
No doubt. No doubt. They see, well, and look how he pitches now. That's the one thing. When you get the hitters up in that Cape Cod League, they're used to the ball in with the aluminum bat. They can fight it off. It was still with some pretty good trajectory.
Yeah, there are a lot of base hits off those aluminum bats there.
That's right. And all of a sudden, you start boring that fastball in with the wood, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's right. So 2 outs now in the fourth.
Did it say where he played?
Chatham.
They were good.
Yep.
The Chatham A's.
Yeah.
They're a really good team, year in and year out.
There you go. He won the White House Award. Best pitcher in the league. There you go.
See, even the awards have cool names.
And Butler takes a cut and he misses. Strike one. The changeup has been prominent from Malone tonight. Ground ball shortstop. Escobar makes this play. And the Rays are up and down. 1, 2, 3. 7 in a row retired by Malone. KIERMAIER Saturday, August 29th. The Rays battle the Royals, and all fans receive a Kevin KIERMAIER Outlaw action figure presented by Dex Imaging while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Joe Mauer is going to lead off the fifth. Mauer, Sano, and then Plouffe in this 4-2 ball game.
Well, this is an important inning here for the Rays. They've got to slow down this Minnesota roll.
And they'd love to get a low pitch count inning from Smiley to get him through the fifth. Brandon Gomes already up in the bullpen. Strike the count to Maier. Chop right side. Forsythe makes the play. 2 pitches and 1 out. It's 90 pitches now for Smiley. He's made at least 20 pitches in every inning so far tonight, topping out at 25. And here is Miguel Sano, who tried to hit a ball through the roof here his last time up. The pitch is a strike. He hit the B ring out toward left center field. Did he go? He held up. Jerry Meals down at first. A 2-1 count. Big cut right there. Boy, that's a dangerous cut he takes.
And on a pitch to handle. And you're right. You think about the swing, and remember, it's coming from a man who's 6'4", 250 plus.
Side 1-2. He certainly is a presence in that batter's box, and they say he's been like that since he's been 15 or 16. And there's a base hit driven through the left side. Cabrera was deep and shaded toward the hole and couldn't get there quickly enough. Sano has his second hit of the game.
Well, you're going to see how the Rays are going to play Sano defensively, and they've got the right idea. Boom, boom, boom. You got your little fence on the left side. Now, to get it through that, you've got to, well, that's how hard you got to hit it. Cabrera could barely get into his dive as the ball was already by him.
Trevor Plouffe. Which is too high, 1-0. Breaking ball is down. It's 2-0. Torrey Hunter is on deck. Trevor Plouffe at the plate. Too low. Smiley way behind Plouffe. And that misses for ball 4, pushing Sano into second base. So 2 men on, 1 out, and here comes Kevin Cash. That's going to be the end of the evening for Drew Smiley. Back in a moment. Is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Outback Steakhouse curbside takeaway. Making your steak come to you has never been easier. Order online at Outback.com. And by a Morgan Auto Group. Megan Morgan, we make it happen. Smiley gets to 100 pitches through 4 1/3. Leaves with a couple men on. He's been charged so far with 4 runs, 8 hits, a couple of walks, and 5 strikeouts. Brandon Gomes takes over on the hill to face the veteran Torrey Hunter. Hunter 0 for 2 in this game. Shoots it up the right side, carrying out a play. Strike 1. Hunter hit a fly ball to center, grounded to short. Takes one a little close. It's 1-1.
Now that's something that you have to do against Torrey Hunter from time to time, because the one thing we know about him is he wants to get his arms extended. He's got a long swing, still able to get pretty good bat speed.
And there's a shot foul. It's 1-2. Area drop, wasted, and a souvenir. It's 1-2 on Hunter. Down to third. Longoria to Forsythe 1, first base 2. Around the horn, 5-4-3. Gomes throws the double play ball. It's 4-2, middle of the 5th. Presented by Geico, and on this day in 2010, St. Pete native our own Doug Wechter makes his major league debut in relief against Seattle, getting credit for the victory after 2 1/3 scoreless innings in that 8-4 win at Safeco Field. Striking out, we saw right there, Edgar Martinez, Randy Wynn, and Ichiro Suzuki. Very impressive.
That's a really, really good night's work. And then you get a win on top of it. Sorry about that.
Beckham leads off, takes a strike here in the bottom of the 5th. The Rays are down by a couple. KIERMAIER next, and then Aaron Sebia spins him around a little bit. It's 1-1. Couple of strikeouts tonight in a walk from Malone. The Rays have 2 runs, 3 hits. Up the right side, that ball is going to be a fair ball and touched by a fan. Beckham on his way to second. Well, the fan reaching over down there.
You might as well go get it now. You already took ownership of it.
Now let's see here.
Yeah, see, and then now you don't even get it.
Yeah.
You just got to get it.
Too bad.
I mean, how about that? So not only you get called for it, ball, look at that, a foot fair right over there. You go. Okay. No, I didn't. Well, it's already done. Go get the ball now.
Yeah, there was remorse just as he touched the ball and then let it go.
Made a couple of bad decisions there.
Yeah, disappointment down there. Now Kevin KIERMAIER, he takes the pitch for a strike. One strike to count. Up the middle, through into center. Beckham's going to be held at third base, and it's 1st and 3rd. You know, there are times when it's difficult to gauge Buxton in center field as to how quickly or not he gets to a ball.
Well, here's a breaking ball that Tommy Malone, but ball looks like it goes right through him. I mean, it's right back over the rubber. He's not able to corral it, and it misses his body. Ball on the ground, he's off and running. Tim Beckham, he's thinking about scoring, and then realizing Charlie Montoya way down the line holding him up. Fans weren't very fond of that call, but not wanting to make a mistake there with nobody out.
Yeah, 1st and 3rd, nobody out for J.P. Aaron Sebia. He drives one high, deep into center. Buxton back there for this one to make the catch. Tag, and now Beckham's going to score. And the Rays get their 3rd run of the night.
Now, that throw from Buxton into second base with KIERMAIER on first, that's why Charlie Montoya did not send Tim Beckham. Because he caught that flat-footed, and Kevin KIERMAIER didn't even try him to second base. He's deep. Watch this, okay? And then missile. That's why you hold the runner at third.
So the Rays are within a run. And it's Brandon Guyer now with KIERMAIER at first. This is the changeup. Back to that pitch for Malone. He's used it well tonight. One. So Beckham's double turned into a run. KIERMAIER now at first. Aaron Sebia picking up his first run batted in a Rays uniform. Lifted into right. That ball will be caught by Hunter.
Yeah, I think he was baiting. He was baiting Kiermaier, too, with the I can't find it, I can't find it. Trying to get Kiermaier off the bag. Look at that. There's a little acknowledgement right there.
Yeah, the outlaw's not falling for it.
No.
See? Right there. Tried to maybe cut him off at the pass there. And Kiermaier wasn't headed to the pass.
Gamesmanship.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd have fallen for it. I'd have been rounded second, headed to third.
Well, there's Daniel Nava. The pitch down and in. Ball, no strikes. You know, we've got to give our crew a lot of credit for getting some good shots on that little attempted decoy move by Hunter out there, and to see the smiles afterward.
Yeah, it's one thing to tell the story. It's another to document it in pictures, and they were right on top of it.
As usual, just ride their coattails all night. Beckham has scored. Kiermaier at first. 2 outs, 1-0 the count to Nava. One and 0 the count. Nava waiting for the left-hander Malone. There's a liner into center field. Kiermaier's headed to third. It'll be first and third for the Rays with 2 gone as Nava keeps it going. The Rays have closed the gap to 1, and with 2 outs have been on the corners. Three hits in this inning. 6 in the game for the Rays off Malone.
You can see Buxton getting to that ball as quickly as he could because he knows who's running, and you got to keep him at third. Try to keep him at third. They're able to do that, but now you've got to deal with Longoria in the batter's box.
Evan drove in a run with a fly ball to right in the first. Upstairs. Couple of runs in the first for the Rays, a run in the 5th, and an opportunity for more if they can come up with a 2-out hit. Ground ball, shortstop. Escobar's throw to first will retire the side. Rays settle for 1 and trail by 1 through 5. tonight. Second run coming on the home run by Logan Forsythe. Kurt Suzuki's doubled in the second, scored a run for Minnesota. They tied it in the third on this double off the B ring, struck by Miguel Sano. That scored Dozier. Eduardo Escobar hit another home run. That came in the fourth inning as the Twins built a 4-2 lead. The Rays got a run in the fifth inning, so it's 4-3 heading into the sixth inning, and it's going to be Eduardo Escobar again, who's working on 4 consecutive hits in this series, 3 of them being home run, including a home run last night off Gomes. Brandon Gomes starts him with a strike here in the sixth inning tonight. Buick big matchup, 6 of 10 in this series, a double and 3 home runs, 5 runs batted in for the young shortstop. It's a 1-1 count. Two balls and a strike. Minnesota started the day a half up in the wild card chase, but Texas won, so they're even with Texas. Three and one to Escobar. Twins have won 6 in a row, and that's what we were talking about last night. If a team wins 7 or 8, 9 in a row, they can make a move in the wild card race. Counting this one for the Rays, 36 games left. 3-1 is foul back, a fastball.
It's just so muddled. Everything is so muddled. You wonder who to root for. The bottom line is you go out and win your game. Go out and win your game, see where it takes you. That's it. That's it. You're playing whoever you're playing. That's the only thing that you can do.
A high pop fly. Cabrera starts out backpedaling, waiting now, and he makes the catch. So that's the first out here in the sixth inning, and right now, let's check in with who is that? Emily Austin behind that mustache.
Guys, I have a confession to make. I've been jealous of both of your facial hair since I got this job with Sun Sports. So being the classy organization that the Tampa Bay Rays are, they're having a mustache giveaway. It is tomorrow night. So get your ticket to this Rays game tomorrow night. They're playing Kansas City, so why not? Actually, it has nothing to do with me. It was really the Dolly Museum. So, but I mean, what do you guys think? Am I rocking it better than Todd?
Yeah, that's a substantial stash right there.
I mean,
I'm getting lots of compliments.
I like the change of shape that it just took. And yes, and it's on straight. You know, Todd's he grew his crooked.
Yeah, that's right.
Does it get itchy for you guys?
It does. It does.
How long does that take to get used to?
I don't know. I've been dealing with it for a week. It's driving me crazy.
At least she is on the level.
Oh, it fell off.
2 strikes the count now to Kurt Suzuki. Look, another form.
We can get real weird down here, guys.
You can't see now. Now you can't see. There you go. That is just...
I need grades. I need grades up here. You guys.
Suzuki pops it up, a foul ball that's headed to the stands. So that's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. Grab your stash.
I should take mine into a stash.
What do you think about all that? I might have to get a couple of those.
Put it in there and twirl it up.
Yeah.
Mustache wax.
Apparently 1,000 looks. So ball 2 strikes the count to Suzuki.
Well, the only good mustache is a multi-dimensional mustache. Mm-hmm. Can you be versatile with the stash? He could.
Still 1-2 to Kurt Suzuki.
There you go.
Yeah. That's out on the range right there.
Yeah, I was an extra in Tombstone. Mustache.
Way up. 2-2. Drew Smiley worked the front 4 to third, charged with 4 runs. Combs came on, got a double play ball out of Torrey Hunter. The foul ball holding the count at 2-2. Nice little pickup there. Escobar has been retired. Kurt Suzuki is the hitter. Variation on a theme. And a swing and a miss. So Suzuki is out number 2. First strikeout for Gomes.
Raise security by night, and then by late night, you're a bouncer somewhere.
Yep.
You're bouncing people right off the sidewalk.
Without question.
And that's his own earpiece. And when he tells you it's time to leave, you just leave.
It's better for everybody concerned. Because he has backup.
Yeah, bigger than him.
And Robinson, a swing and a miss on the fastball. Strike 1. Steve Geltz loosening in the bullpen. Foul. Out of play. Nothing at 2. Robinson's base hit, an infield hit in the 4th. A ball, 2 strikes. Base is empty, 2 gone. Top of the order, Byron Buxton on deck. And it's now 2-2. Rays have beaten the Twins only once this year. They're 1-4 against them. That's after a long run of success against this team. Bouncer right side handled by Forsythe. It's a 1-2-3 6th inning. Logan Forsythe will lead off the bottom of the 6th with a home run already tonight. The Rays are down by 1. One-run ball game. Rays coming in to hit in the bottom of the 6th in this game tonight. And all season, Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Logan belting his 15th home run of the year in the first inning. He is 1 for 2. And he'll open the bottom of the 6th. 5 innings for Malone. 70 pitches. And the first pitch here in the bottom of the 6th is a strike. Cabrera will follow, and then Butler. Take a look at that home run back in the first inning out to center field.
Well, we remarked on the sound of the ball coming off the bat. That was pure contact. Up into the deck, Captain Morgan's deck.
1-2.
Well, you get the feeling that the Minnesota Twins trying to squeeze out every last pitch or out from Tommy Malone before heading to the bullpen. And that Rays offense on the verge of breaking out against Malone.
It's 2-2. Well, they have their 3 runs and 6 hits off him in 5 innings. His last start at Baltimore, no decision, 5 innings, 5 1/3, 5 hits and 3 runs. And he pitched 2 days later an inning to save an extra inning game. Down to third, and it comes up on Sano off his glove and toward the bullpen. Forsythe going to dig for 2. The throw's wide, and he's in there. That represents the potential tying run. Some hustle by Forsythe forcing the issue.
And Miguel Sano, the DH, the first 2 games of this series, but they're going to give Joe Mauer a day off of third base, so they reconfigure the infield. And on the backhand right there, Sano just not able to get up to it, and it's off his glove. The deflection goes into foul territory, and that's what's going to allow Logan to get out to second base.
His 23rd double. That'll be Asdrubal Cabrera. He bunts, pops it foul. It's out of the reach of Suzuki.
Didn't find it. Couldn't initially find it. That's tough for a catcher. You're thinking about hopping out into fair territory, making a play. The bunt is popped up. And if you don't find it right away, there's no way that you get to it. And Cabrera here squaring around. There's the pop. And right now, look at Suzuki trying to find it. By the time he does, it's just a step late.
Two now. Cabrera 0 for 2 tonight, and 2 of 11 in his career against Malone. Asdrubal came into this game tonight hitting over 300 against left-handed pitching. It's 1-2. See how close that pitch was.
That was very close.
Yes, it was. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes. In on him, and a pop up. Foul ball. Sano is there to make the catch. That's the first out in the 6th inning. Joey Butler strides toward the plate. Butler back from Durham. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Butler had been in 9 games since he was optioned to Durham. He did 4 home runs in those games. Takes a pitch inside, 1-0. Still likes to stay right there in that batter's box between pitches.
That's one thing that has not changed at all.
And he shoots it into left center field. That's going to fall. Here comes Forsythe around third. Relay throw will not be in time. And into second base goes Butler. This game is tied. Joey Butler comes through for the Rays.
Well, you just had that feeling that Tommy Milone was not going to be able to hold off this Rays team. Third time through, put some pretty good swings on him. Another one right there, a changeup. Changeup stays up, and Butler able to rope that ball out into left center field. There's a little bit of a holdup by Forsythe. Wonder if Buxton was going to get there, and then he forces the throw from Escobar. That throw is way late, and that allows Butler to get into scoring position.
So the game is tied with Butler at second, and a pitching change coming for Minnesota. By Checkers, Epic Meals, Epic Deals. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Kona Brewing Company, one life, right? Don't blow it. Mahalo. The new pitcher is Blaine Boyer, replacing Tommy Milone, who made 81 pitches in 5 1/3. John Jaso will pinch hit for Beckham and goes after the first pitch, fouling it right back, strike 1. The Rays saw Boyer for 2 innings last night. He's just off the disabled list.
And that's what we want you to do. Off the disabled list. We want you 2 tonight. We're going to bring you tomorrow. Get you in there again.
Missed a lot of time. Let's go. Right back in there.
Got a lot of ground to make up.
Pitch every day for the rest of the year. 1-1 now. It's a little bit high. 2-1. Cott's busy in the bullpen. Veteran lefty. Ground ball right side. Plouffe with the toss to Boy, who finds the bag, stumbles a bit, and over to third base goes Butler.
Oh, easy, big fella. And for a second there, I wondered if he thought that was the third out, and Butler could maybe sneak back door, because he covers this like this is going to be the end of the inning, and then you're going to get the stumble. Okay, now you got to catch yourself, but you see there's still no urgency to turn around. I mean, this is a play you work on in spring training all the time. Catch that ball, hit the bag, and then turn and make sure that runner's going to hold at third. And even after the stumble, it's kind of like no urgency. Someone must have yelled at him. And then it's like, oh, by the way, oh.
Well, that's it. A third of an inning for Butler. Another pitching change coming. Rays have Joey Butler at third with the potential go-ahead run. 2 outs. Kevin Kiermaier's due, and the Twins counter with Neil Kotz, the lefty, on. Between Milwaukee and Minnesota, 53 appearances. First pitch is wide. Boyer a third of an inning. And now Kotz, he was in the game on Tuesday for an inning and 2/3. 1-1.
Well, and Kiermaier, I'll tell you, he's had some better at-bats recently against left-handed pitching. Trying to stay up the middle, use that part of the field, put the ball in play, maybe beat out an infield hit.
But in a bit. And it's 2-1.
That's old school baseball. You get a hitter leaning in. This ball not that far in, but you see Kevin starting to dive a little bit, and just off the elbow and forearm sends him right back.
You know, Kiermaier was 2 for 2 against Malone. He's up to 255 on the year against left-handed pitching. And a cut and a miss there on a fastball. 2-2. Splits right there. 255 lefty and 263 against right-handers. This one will get away. Down the line from third. Butler scored standing up. And the Rays take the lead 5-4. Well, that pitch cut right away from Kurt Suzuki.
And that ball, he obviously should have handled this. This is just a breaking ball down and away. And he just let it get between the legs. That ball should have been caught in the air. And the Rays get a gift run.
So it's a 5-4 ball game now. That's the third pass ball of the year charged to Suzuki. And Kiermaier draws a walk. Now with KIERMAIER at first, J.P. Arencibia is the hitter. Arencibia drove in a run in the 5th with a sacrifice fly. It's down and in. The ball loose on the throw back, and it's tracked down by Kotz.
Getting sloppy. Now this has been a long road trip for the Twins, taking them through New York for 3, Baltimore for 4, here in St. Pete 3 more.
Big cut, 1-1 to count. Now to play. Well, back of the first base dugout. A ball, 2 strikes. Two. Top of the order would be next if Arencibia could keep the inning going. Forsythe opened with a double in this inning. He has scored. Butler, whose hit drove in Forsythe, has scored the go-ahead run on the pass ball. Cut and a miss. Arencibia is out on strikes. Rays are finished in the 6th inning, but they pick up 2 runs and take a 5-4 lead. Rays lead as we go to the top half of the 7th inning. It's a 1-run ball game, and tomorrow will be the return of Ben Zobrist with Kansas City coming in. And here's what's coming up on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Erasmo Ramirez on the hill for the Rays. We'll hear from him. And on the pregame show, a special presentation focused on Ben Zobrist and his time here as he comes back wearing a Kansas City uniform. Todd will be chatting with Ben Zobrist on the pregame.
We are going to try to get him out, right?
That would be a great idea. I think that's still in effect.
Okay. I'm going to make sure it's too much of a love in. Got some games to win.
Alex Colomé taking over on the mound, facing the top of the order, Byron Buxton. The pitch is a strike. So Smiley 4 1/3, Gomes an inning and 2/3, and now it's Colomé. He takes a strike, 0-2. Cut and a miss. Buxton out on 3 pitches, out on strikes for the 4th time.
We're not picking up the ball well tonight at all. Didn't off Drew Smiley. And in this at bat against Colomé, makes short work of him. Nasty slider there. Starts at middle of the plate, just above the knees, and takes it right off.
Brian Dozier. Upstairs 1-0. Dozier walked and scored in the 3rd. It's 2-0. Ground ball. Oh, a great stop deep in the hole, but no play. Cabrera got there, shaded that way anyway, but still deep in the hole, made a nice stop, and Dozier has a base hit.
Well, this ball was hit hard by Dozier. I thought for sure that was getting out into left field. Not so, but still no play to be made. Far enough in the hole, and there's no chance.
Now it's Joe Mauer. Alex Colomé worked an inning in the game last night. Picked up a strikeout. And Mauer takes this pitch down. Shorten on the bat.
Gotta take that, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and bunt that. 2 outs, runner in scoring position. I'll take my chances rather than this guy swinging the bat.
He fouls it. 1-1. One on, one out. Pitchers of record in this game will be at the moment Tommy Malone, the Minnesota starter, and Brandon Gomes. Ground ball deflected. Cabrera's going to make the pickup and the throw to first just in time. Colomé slowed it, and Cabrera got the throw just in time to get Mauer at first, with Dozier moving into second base.
Well, trying to get this ball up the middle, and right there, that ball knocked down. Cabrera making sure that he gets it and then hurries the throw, and he needed to. That ball right into the glove before that foot comes down. I'd say that's less than half a step, about a quarter of a step.
Dozier on second with 2 outs in the 7th, and Miguel Sano 2 for 3. Rolled one through the shift on the left side in the 5th. Doubled off the B ring back in the 3rd to drive in a run. Strike on the outside corner. Fly ball center field. KIERMAIER is there waiting, and that takes care of Minnesota. 7-inning stretch time at the Trop. 5-4 Rays. The home half of the 7th inning. As promised earlier in the game, we've selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag #SSDataStrongFan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Top of the order for the Rays, Brandon Guyer. To face Neil Kotz. Pitch is a strike. Daniel Nava due up next, and then Longoria. Foul to the bottom of the screen. The right-hander Casey Fiend getting loose in the bullpen for the Twins. An 0-2 count here. Fly ball into left. Robinson is right there and makes the catch.
First baseman, number 7, Daniel Nava.
One away in the Rays half of the inning, and Daniel Nava about to step in. Nava 2 for 3 tonight. Ball, no strikes. Two balls, no strikes, the count. That's a strike. 2-1 now. Two and two, the count on Daniel Nava. All 5 of the runs for the Rays charged to Malone, 4 of those earned. Nava out on the pitch up. The fastball got him. So 2 up, 2 down in the 7th against Kotz. Evan Longoria's due.
We see this a lot on the other side. The Rays pitchers love that heater up in the zone, try to get the chase. They were able to get it there, and it looks like they're going to make another move.
Kotz will depart in favor of the right-hander. Returns with a doubleheader as the Red Sox take on the NL East leading Mets, followed by the AL East leading Yankees battling the Braves. Coverage begins next Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Casey Fiend, the new pitcher, and his delivery to Evan Longoria is a strike call. Evan drove in the first run of this game with a fly ball to right in the first inning. One and one. Rays scored 2 runs in the 6th to take the lead. Ground ball toward the middle. Escobar's there to make the pickup and throw. The Rays are out in the 7th, headed into the 8th, with the Rays up by a run. Post-game summary brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. The Rays grabbed an early lead, 2-0, fell behind 4-2, now lead 5-4 with a couple runs in the 6th inning. We head into the 8th now with the Rays up by a run, and Alex KIERMAIER on the hill. Pitch to score to 7th. Trevor Plouffe will open the 8th. Pitch is a fastball too high. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, we've seen KIERMAIER be able to come out of that bullpen and give multiple innings to the Rays. We saw that in Oakland. Very strong innings, 8th and 9th up there, 6 up, 6 down. Overpowering stuff, and has really taken to the new role.
Plouffe had an extended at bat against KIERMAIER last night, 8 pitches, and managed to lift a fly ball into left center that got a run home. There's a strike. That makes the count 2-1. 5-8-1 for the Rays, 4-9-0 for the Twins. 2-1 to Plouffe. Strike on the outside corner. 95 with that fastball out there.
Yeah, what was more impressive, the velocity of the pitch or the location? Because there was absolutely nothing that Plouffe is going to do with that pitch.
And he fouls this one. We'll break to that one, and pulled a just foul. That's Xavier Cedeno loosening in the bullpen. Pop foul. It's out of play. Another battle here tonight between Plouffe and KIERMAIER. High fly ball into left. It's Butler. 1 away. They got him on a fastball. Torrey Hunter is due next. Well, that wild card chase continues. New York, see Minnesota, Texas right now with identical records. The Rays started this game 3 back. Angels and Baltimore in front of the Rays, along with Texas and Minnesota. Cut and a miss. Texas and the Angels won today. The Orioles lost. Foul ball. Aaron Sebia. Two strikes the count. Fouled into the screen. It's Eduardo Escobar on deck. Hunter, 1 of 5 against KIERMAER in his career. And a cut and a miss. He's now 1 out of 6.
Well, and here's the thing, too. You know, we've heard a lot about Alex KIERMAER and paring down that arsenal coming out of the bullpen. But against a couple of right-handed hitters he's seen so far, we've seen the fastball, the slider, and the curveball. We will see the changeup occasionally with the left-handed hitter. So he may be cutting back on how much he uses the curveball and the changeup, but that's still a part of what he's doing out there.
And now here's Eduardo Escobar, who's red hot. A single and a home run tonight, coming off home runs in his last 2 at-bats last night. And he is 2 for 2 with a double in his career against KIERMAER. And the first pitch is a fastball called a strike.
I don't think Eduardo Escobar, a very, very big fan of that call. And that's a huge jump for KIERMAER to get out in front 0-1. Here comes that changeup.
And it's taken down. 1-1. KIERMAER started a game against the Twins in Minneapolis back in the middle of May. And that's a strike. Came right back with it, and Escobar could not check. Now it's 1-2.
And this pitch really out of the hand was below the zone, ends up in front of the plate, and Escobar just selling out.
You know, in that start KIERMAER made against them, he gave up 3 runs in 3 1/3 innings. And that's when Escobar had the 2 hits off him. He got ahead of him 0-1, gave up a single, and then got ahead of him 1-2, gave up a double. He's ahead of him here 1-2. He'd like to retire him for once. Oh, close there. Around the zone.
That breaking ball. Yep. You see right there, Aaron Seavey, that ball stays off the plate.
So it's 2-2. And a ground ball back to the mound. He retires it, and 1, 2, 3 go the Twins. We head into the bottom of the 8th. 5-4 Tampa Bay. Is brought to you by Sunsport Sun Trust. New checking options that work as hard as you do. By Kubota. To find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubotaDealers.com. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Bottom of the 8th, we'll find Logan Forsythe leading off. He's had a 2-hit night. A couple of extra base hits. His 15th home run of the year in the first. And a leadoff double in the 6th and a run scored. Facing Casey Fiend. Pitch is a strike. Forsythe, Cabrera, and then Butler. One and one. Lefty O'Rourke up in the bullpen. Ground ball, shortstop. Forsythe is out. Escobar to Plouffe. One away in the 8th. Let's check in with Todd Callis. Todd.
Dwayne, right after the game, it'll be our Rays Live postgame show presented by Checkers, the clean-shaven ones. Todd Callis, Orestes Estrada out in left field. We'll hear from Dwayne Stats and Brian Anderson as well. And Emily Austin and her Salvador Dali mustache will be gathering interviews in the Rays clubhouse, including the manager, Kevin Cash. All that coming up on Rays Live, presented by Checkers.
Yeah, what did you do with that mustache you had the other night?
I don't wear it as well. She is by far the better to display that thing.
She's a little more versatile.
Yes.
Here's Asdrubal Cabrera. Pitch outside, 1-0. Foul right back and out of play. Brad Boxberger up in the bullpen. Ball the other way. Robinson in left. Right there, 2 gone. So the base is empty. Joey Butler, who had a big hit to tie this game in the 6th and eventually scored the go-ahead run, will bat here in the 8th inning. Pitch is down, 1-0. Two balls, no strikes. Here's that base hit by Butler in the 6th inning.
Well, he got a changeup that was up in the zone, and he was able to get it out to left center field. Logan Forsythe around the score. There's a shot.
He takes it the other way. One hopper picked up by Hunter. So Butler back in the Rays lineup and with a couple hits.
So you make the league forget about you. Go away for a little bit, kind of quiet, then you burst right back out on the scene. Another pitch out over the plate. Butler, you know, we saw that his first run with the Rays up the middle the other way. A ton of hits. And Joey Butler not afraid to use that side of the field.
Well, there's John Jaso, who pinch hit for Beckham as the DH back in the 6th inning, getting another plate appearance. Tried to check his swing, and that's a foul ball. Five runs off Malone. Boyer, Kotz, and Fiend have followed. Outside, 1-1. Down 2-1. Rourke, the lefty, continues to throw in the bullpen. One of the concerns the Twins have is about Glenn Perkins, their closer, who's had back spasms recently. It's a foul out of play, and the count is 2-2 here on Jaso.
Well, we've seen in this series trying to piecemeal things together. Certain guys.
Yeah, we know a lot about that. We've seen the Rays do that all year.
Yep.
It's been amazing from that point of view.
You get through 5-6 innings, and then all of a sudden the puzzle pieces start to come into focus, and you try to put them together.
A little ground ball down to first, and Plouffe makes the play unassisted. The Rays get a hit, leave a man. We're headed into the ninth, and the Rays lead 5-4. Welcome back to Tropicana Field. On to the ninth inning we go tonight. The Rays call upon Brad Boxberger, holding a 5-4 lead over the Minnesota Twins. It's been Smiley for 4 1/3, Gomes for an inning and 2/3, 2 for KIERMAIER, and now Boxberger.
Looking for that 31st save. He's on for the 55th time, and still the big strikeout numbers, 60 strikeouts in 49 innings. And that's exactly what you're going to do. 8, 9, and 1, and you hope it ends right there.
Well, Kurt Suzuki will lead off, then Shane Robinson due up, followed by Byron Buxton. And not one of these hitters here, Suzuki, Robinson, or Buxton, have faced Boxberger before. Suzuki tonight with a couple hits, 2 doubles, 2 for 3, and first pitch is a ball, 1 ball, no strikes. That's a strike, and it's 1-1. Each team with 9 hits. Rays tied it and took the lead with 2 runs in the 6th. We're in the 9th. Pitch is foul back. 1-2.
Well, there were some tough outings for Brad Boxberger on that most recent road trip. But you get back home, you've had a couple of days to kind of regroup. And hopefully get him right back where the Rays need him to be if they want to make a run.
Cut and a miss. He gets Suzuki. Got him on a fastball.
Well, that's a heck of a start. Doesn't waste a whole lot of time with Suzuki. Some good fastballs. That one well located. Right on the outside corner. The swing and a miss. 1 out.
Now with 1 out and the base is empty, Robinson's going to be lifted. Eddie Rosario is going to come out to pinch hit. Rosario, another one of these good-looking young players the Twins have in their lineup. When you look at Buxton and Rosario, Sano, Escobar, and it's Rosario to pinch hit. He homered in this game, or in the series, in the first game Tuesday. And he takes the pitch for ball. Liner up the right side down toward the bullpen, and a nice little catch there in front of the bullpen crew.
The Rays are going to pitch Rosario away, play him to pull on the infield. You see right here.
And he's out front and over the change. Ball, 2 strikes.
Well, already what you see here from Brad Boxberger is throwing pitches with conviction. I mean, he's letting these pitches, whether it be the fastball or the changeup, he's throwing them, letting them fly.
And a cut and a miss on a fastball. Followed the change of the fastball and strikes out Rosario.
You got the feeling on that road trip that there were a few at-bats where Boxberger was almost trying to feel the ball towards home plate, almost trying to guide it in there. He's cutting it loose here tonight.
So that's 10 strikeouts for Rays pitching tonight. And now Buxton, who has struck out 4 times tonight, is going to be lifted. Chris Herman, who caught last night, had a couple hits, will pinch hit for Buxton. There's a big cut and a miss on a fastball. Herman trying to get out in front on that one. Swung through it.
And that fastball's got some life, some jump to it here tonight. Changeup's been really good too.
And a cut and a miss again on the fastball.
Keep seeing swings and misses and things flying.
Two strikes the count. Here we go. Foul back. 3 straight fastballs. Fouling that one. Boxberger again with the 0-2 upstairs. So 4 consecutive fastballs and this sequence of pitches to Herman.
Throws him a changeup right here. He might screw himself right in the ground.
1-2. Check swing. Stays with the hard stuff. Well, he got Suzuki with the fastball. He got Rosario with the fastball. Set him up with the change. And he's got all fastballs so far to Herman.
I think he's feeling feeling that pitch and the way it's jumping.
There's the change. He strikes him out. And this ball game is over. 5 straight fastballs before the changeup to end it. Boxberger strikes out the side, and the Rays are winners 5-4 tonight to take the final game of this series from the Minnesota Twins. Rays came in here needing a win, picking up their 63rd of the year. And here's the final pitch.
Well, it was all those fastballs. And finally, 80 miles an hour, and Herman geared up for 94. And it just doesn't get there. That's when Brad Boxberger is at his very best. That fastball is going to be 93, 94. The changeup will be all the way down there, 80, 81. A huge discrepancy in velocity, and so tough on these hitters to be able to navigate those 2 pitches.
And here's how the wild card now stacks up. The Rays, here we go, 2.5 back. New York, Texas, then Minnesota, and the Los Angeles Angels each a half back. The Rays and the Orioles each 2.5 back. So it's still very much in play, that second wild card spot in the American League. And the Rays stay relevant with a victory here tonight over the Minnesota Twins. Logan Forsythe got the Rays a big run with a home run in the first inning. Let's go to the field where Todd Callis is standing by with Logan right now.
Dwayne, thanks. Logan, they're just showing the standings. I know you guys are disappointed to lose 2 out of 3, but how big was tonight knowing the Twins are right in the chase and you guys end the series where you started 2.5 games back in the wild card?
You know, it was good to get that win right there for us. You know, they're right there with us in the wild card race. You know, we need all the wins we can right now, and that was a good team effort right there.
We had super slow-mo. We call it Phantom Cam on your home run. By the way, you're safe. It looks like Chris Archer got somebody else tonight. It looked like there was no reverb, no vibration on the bat. How good did that ball feel coming off the bat on Tommy Malone?
You know, I got the barrel to it, caught it out front. You know, just right trajectory, got it out.
When you'd faced him a couple times, let's take another look at it. What did you get here?
You know, I was just looking for a fastball on the heart of the plate, and I got the barrel to it. You know, it jump started us, got us going today. So, you know, happy to help.
This is a tough series. You guys scored a lot of runs the first game. They kept coming back, and they won that game tonight. You guys got out early. They came back 4-2. Then you guys come back. Take us through your run scored after your double. Was that a tough read on the ball off the bat of Butler? You were at second, and it looked like you had to wait for a while before.
Well, you know Buxton can fly out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew where they were playing in the outfield. I was trying to read, you know, his jump off the bat. And once I saw it down, you know, Charlie had me going. It was a big hit from Joey right there for us. But, you know, to talk about, like, earlier, I mean, yeah, this – you can tell it's a wild card race. I mean, each team's in it. I mean, it's back and forth. And I got a feeling it's going to be like that the rest of the year.
Unusual play that the catwalk actually benefited the race. So no hits went off the B ring. It's in play. Take us through what you saw. When did you pick it up? Did you watch it the whole way?
No, I didn't. As soon as it went up, I started looking at the outfielders to see where they were getting in position. And the next thing I know, I see them like, where's it at? And I lost it. Next thing you know, it's bouncing somewhere in center field. So, you know, I think that was the first time I've seen that play happen. And, I mean, you got to play it. It's a live ball. It's bizarre, but it happened.
Could you tell off the bat, do you think that would have gone out?
You know, I think it would have. Yeah. I mean, he hit it well. It's just tough to tell when it gets up that high. You know, you don't know if it's gonna get up there and kind of come down. But, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one to read.
All right, Logan, thanks for the time.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Todd, thank you. The Rays are winners here. It's a 5-4 final. Combs the winner, Malone the loser, and Boxberger picking up his 31st save of the year in 2 hours and 49 minutes to play this one. For Brian Anderson and the rest of our crew, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you with us. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast. Rays are winners tonight, 5-4, and tomorrow take on the Kansas City Royals. Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, is next.